You know, here in Lethbridge and in cities right across Canada, a short drive through any downtown area will open your eyes to the challenges with addictions and homelessness. Thankfully, we do have some dedicated people and organizations who are committed to providing help. And joining us to talk about some of these challenges is one of them. He's Ken Kissick, and he is the co-founder of Streets Alive Mission right here in Lethbridge. Ken, welcome to Bridge City News.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Ken, now many of our viewers already know what Streets Alive Mission is about. We've had you on our show before, but some probably don't. So for those who don't know about Streets Alive Mission, can you just give us a snapshot of what you do in Lethbridge?
Well, quickly, we kind of have two primary areas of focus. One is the street population. We provide mission services, clothing, respite. We do outreach services under contract with the city, helping with encampments. We're there for that population, bringing the love of God, bringing hope. The other area of focus is our recovery programs for men and women. We have up to 60 people inside of 4 stages of that recovery program. And we're very successful at that. So that's a very quick, broad view, but ultimately we are here to bring God's love and the gospel of Christ.
That's excellent to hear. Now, what can you tell us about the recent decision to purchase the Galt Manor building in downtown Lethbridge? This is a building known for being trashed by drug dealers and users. So just tell us, what are your plans for the building?
Well, so the Galt Manor purchase is actually a part of a larger initiative called Coming Home. And the Galt Manor was completely renovated. And so when we acquired it, it's in excellent living condition. But Coming Home is an initiative for us to acquire over the next little while, 3 or 4 buildings, so that we can get away from being a lessee and actually own the properties that we provide the majority of our programs. The program started with our women's house, which we owned and built and renovated a couple of years ago. Galt Manor is just part of that. We are currently in the process of closing a deal to acquire land and building to be able to move our mission out of the downtown. That won't happen for 12 or 15 months. And we are closing on another place where we're going to have 32 beds of men's recovery housing. So it's all together in that. That's all part and parcel. Galt Manor will be used as stage 4 housing. We have begun to transition from the current people that are in there to our people. It's probably going to take about 12 months to get that whole thing done. But that's the reason for Galt.
So tell us, give us a little bit of a status update then on Galt Manor. Have you already gotten people moving in, or do you expect that it'll be at full capacity by year's end?
Well, we took it over full. And so it's as people leave, we put others in. So I'm more like probably this time next year till we get it completely rolled over. It just takes time.
Now, these kinds of things obviously take a lot of money to keep going. Now, earlier this year, City Council voted against providing Streets Alive with funding that would have come from the federal government. Any thoughts on what impact that has on the homeless population and your ability to help?
So probably people a lot don't know this. We were still awarded that contract.
Oh.
But the council's decision was kind of misplaced. And so that contract now is being fully funded by the city instead of having part of it funded by federal funding. So the gap, there was a couple of month gap to the services to the people. But we did that with our own funding. So that we're just here for the people. But yes, we are currently under contract with the city for doing encampment outreach services till the end of this year. So that request wasn't for the contract. It was simply where the money was going to come from.
Now, you and your team are on the front lines in Lethbridge. Can you just share a bit about what you're observing this year with the encampment challenges? That's really a hot button issue here in Lethbridge. Just tell us what's been happening and what kinds of things do you think would be helpful to bring some improvement to that situation?
Well, all right. So the encampment strategy set out by the city, which was to not allow encampments to entrench themselves, is working. So people will notice there aren't any of the big encampments anymore. There's a move to quickly get in and kind of get them tore down, but the people are still here. So they've just spread out through the city into the coulees, and part of our outreach challenge is that we're supposed to provide housing referrals for those who want to go into housing. Over the last 2 months, we've provided 31 housing referrals, but there's no housing for them. So nobody's getting back to us because there is no place to place these people. So we are still stuck with people on the street being unhoused because there is no housing for them beyond the street and the shelter.
Well, that's sad to hear, but let's make things a little bit more positive for a second here. Let's hear some success stories. Are there any individuals who are overcoming addictions and rising up out of poverty?
So inside our recovery program and with the other programs that are running in the community, there are people who are making the choice to get off of drugs, to get out of that cycle. Within our recovery programs for men and women, if we can get them into the program, and our success rate is about 80%, okay, for people that get in. If we can keep them past 30 days, on the trail to 120 days, our success rate goes to 92%. So it's very successful. The programs that we run, they're intense, and that's getting people to 120 days. Now, beyond that, over the last 3 or 4 years, we now have individuals who are 3 and 4 years clean. We have people who are getting their children back. So it's not just about getting people off of drugs and alcohol. It's getting them, restoring families. It's getting them back to work, and so we're successful, and those things are happening. The unfortunate part of all of this is that within Lethbridge, the opioid death rate is ridiculously high.
Now, you're talking about keeping these individuals in programs for longer than 30 days, which helps your success rate. What are some of the challenges with keeping people in these programs?
A lot of it is their willingness to do the work, their willingness to not respond in their old ways, but try and respond to the trauma in their life in different ways. And again, nobody got up one morning and said, I think I'll become an addict. They became addicted because of some kind of trauma. And so we are working with them to try and help deal with that trauma. Trauma requires healing, and for us, there is only one healer. And so that's part and parcel of what we're trying to do, is get them to engage with Christ at some point, and most do. And then that's where the success kind of rolls out.
Well, that perfectly segues into my next question, because I wanted to ask you, to what degree does faith in Jesus impact individuals in their recovery journey?
Everyone that we have who has gone on, the guys who are getting their kids back, the women, those people have all engaged in Christ. Some have had to re-engage. They were people. Others just have come to Christ. But he is absolutely key. Our faith of the staff, that keeps us here. But the reality is people need Christ. He is the healer. And doesn't have a magic wand. They still have to do the work, and we all do. But faith is key to success.
And those individuals coming out of these recovery programs, are they attributing their success from Christ?
Yeah, most will. As a matter of fact, we just heard a story the other day of one of the women who was in our program. She was pretty challenging. She is Indigenous and had pretty horrific life. But she succeeded in getting through the program. She's gone back to school, and we heard the other day that she is leading other people to Christ.
Wow.
As sharing her story and the success that we have, it just, it's the testimony that's there. And so, and we've got others that are doing that. And really, it's just God at work.
And how can people support Streets Alive? Do you need any volunteers, or how can people make donations?
So if you want, they just need to go to the website, www.streetsalive.ca. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter or X, I guess now. And there's a donate button right there. If they want to volunteer, they just need to go to the volunteer section. There's an application they can fill out, and they can come on in. We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for people like to donate. And we'll take all the help we can get.
And on the subject of donating, because fundraising is such an ongoing thing with ministry needs, can you tell viewers a bit about the upcoming Ride for Refuge event on September 23rd, and how can people get involved?
So Ride for Refuge is really the partner of the coldest night of the year. It's the same organization. And so they just need to go to their computer, type in Ride for Refuge, and then look for location. We're there under Lethbridge, and they can sign up there. Everything's online. You can sign up as a team. There's 10K and 20K bike rides. You can also walk 5K, and it's all around Henderson Lake. So it's safe. It's family friendly. And there'll be marshals and everybody there. So if you like to cycle, this is a great way to come out and raise some money. If you just want to go for a nice calm walk and help us raise some money, you can do that too. But Ride for Refuge, just Google it, it'll come up. Look for Lethbridge and Streets Alive and sign up.
And then Ride for Refuge is a fundraiser for the Exodus Men's Life Recovery Program and also the Genesis Women's Life Recovery Program. Can you just explain what happens there and the impact that it's having?
Well, again, these are our recovery programs. Those are the places where people who are choosing to get out of the addicted lifestyle, they've begun a treatment process. And so now we walk them through that. 30, 120 days, then, another 120 days, they can stay as long as we walk. And again, our success rate past 30 days is 92% of the people walk free from addiction, get their life back. Okay. And again, almost all of them have a life with Christ involved in their life now too. So it's a win-win-win.
And then some of these people that have gone through the programs, are they now also volunteering? And when we show up to these events, will we get to meet some of these people?
Yes, most of our people in our program will be part of the volunteer corps at Ride for Refuge. So the problem is you won't really know them. Are separate from just volunteers. But yeah, they come out, they help. Part of the program is to volunteer, so it's good. So yeah, you can meet some and just talk to the organizers and they'll introduce you.
Well, that sounds really amazing. That Ride for Refuge event sounds like an awesome thing to do. Not only just good for the Streets Alive mission, but also great for the health. Go out, get some fresh air, get some exercise.
It's it's a win-win. And so far, we think the weather is going to be pretty decent for it. So should be a fun day.
Excellent. Well, Ken, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. And we appreciate all that Bridge City does. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Ken Kissick is the co-founder of Streets Alive Mission in Lethbridge. I'm Naveen Day on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks for watching.